So for my project, I researched symbols used by the queer community to nonverbally identify each other in safe ways in public. I focused on the most commonly used symbols and analyzed their origins in order to understand why that symbol was connected to the community. One of the most popular ways queer people would wear symbols of their identities was buttons and pins, as they're easy to make and produce so they could be given out to others, um, like so they could be given out to others and spread as physical landmarks of an otherwise invisible community. They also allowed a lot of personalization that fostered the use of buttons in protest and pride events, making it a still popular form of self-expression in the queer community today. Buttons also allowed easy removal or hiding if needed, since they're pretty small. So for my project, I made buttons that use the symbols that I researched. So the probably most recognizable symbol is the pink triangle. The origins of that being the pink triangle being used to identify homosexuals in the Nazi Germany concentration camps. So the queer community reclaimed the pink triangle and started wearing it upside down as a form of unity against oppression. Then we have the Labrys, or the two-headed axe, which is commonly associated with radical feminist lesbian movements. Its origins go back to like Crete and Amazon myths about women-led communities and armies. Then we have the lavender. I'm going to try and let you see it. The Lavender Menace. A lot of these have a lavender background. You can't really see it on the camera, but lavender as a color has a lot of color associations with like divine femininity, like spirituality that the lesbian community really connected with. It also is connected to transformation and power. So the queer community kind of adopted it as a color to represent itself, and I made a button that says Lavender Menace. Lavender Menace was actually a group of radical lesbian feminists, I think in the 70s. But yeah, there's a lot of buttons that say Lavender Menace, that kind of like iconography. And then we have the Lambda. This one I'd never heard of. I think that it's a like kind of less common one, but it was common, like most common in the 60s from what I could find. But the lambda is the Greek symbol. It's associated with the queer community. Yeah. And then I also made some that would be associated with like protests or like bolder movements. Like these ones are more made for like identification in a discrete way, but these kind of go along with the theme of the evolution into protest and like bolder forms of self-expression. So we have like we have the classic fag, dyke, and butch. I also did like good old-fashioned lesbian symbol. I'm one. I saw that in a lot of archives. That was just a repeated phrase. I thought that was a really nice message of unity in the community that I saw being spread. We have the boycott Florida oranges, Anita sucks oranges button. And then I also made a this was worn by a lot of trans people. I was gonna include it on this side, but I decided to include it over here because trans people had a unique experience where a lot of them weren't able to hide themselves in the same way that homosexual people were able to. So yeah, I put it over here. But then I have these two that are forms of the evolution of the of the personal self-expression, I actually made these last year for a Pride event, and I just thought they would be fun to include as like a, here's like how the button movement has ended up. Like, I have a uterus that says it bites, and then Jesus told me he thinks gay sex is cool. But yeah, I saw a lot of like feminist kind of buttons in the archives, a lot of like kind of humorous playing on religion. I saw a lot of born again lesbian ones. So yeah, I just wanted to include a little bit of that humor as well. But yeah, I really liked the research for this project. Looking into all the archives was really interesting.